Sounds good. Well, thank you, Erica. But of course, what's standing between these teams and that $20,000 prize are three amazing, experienced, and highly scrutinous judges. Joining us tonight, we have Kevin Keenahan, and we're really grateful. He was one of our first speakers coming into Fuel this year. He co-founded and led Tissue Analytics from a CBID project that took it basically from a student to a local Baltimore health company, which was acquired by Net Health in 2020. We both appreciate his time and support as a donor, as well as a mentor to the many teams of Fast Forward U. And thank you once again for joining us here, Kevin. Joining us, we also have Marissa Lauman, who is an investor in the startup ecosystem with experience in fintech, workforce development, edtech, health tech. She does it all. She ran the future of work practice at Village Capital and now holds a variety of roles, including the innovation consultant with the Financial Health Network, and is serving as a senior advisor to new market venture partners. We really appreciate your time here, Marissa, and look forward to your thoughtful questions for the teams. And finally, last but certainly not least, we have Annika, the president herself of the Johns Hopkins Alumni Council and Alumni Association. She is also an entrepreneur and having founded and run Frontier Health, which is a marketplace for innovative medical devices in the developing world. So we're incredibly grateful to have you here as well to give us your perspective and energy as an entrepreneur. We welcome all three of our judges to the floor and look forward to the questions you'll have for the teams. So with that said, how is tonight going to roll? Very simple. We have 9 teams competing for the prizes that Erica laid out, with potentially 20, if not more, $20,000 on the line. Each team is going to start out with a quick 90-second elevator pitch, followed by 8 minutes of Q&A. I will point out I have been designated as that guy by Josh, and I will be timing. So as much as we love to hear and get into the nitty-gritty details, we do have to keep it going. We will be cutting you off at approximately 8 minutes. Following that, the judges will deliberate and we'll have an award ceremony after, wherein we will award the cohort prize, which the Fuel teams, as Erica mentioned, have chosen amongst themselves to support one of their peers. The audience prize, which we'll share a little more detail about as we go through the event. And finally, the grand $20,000 prize that we hope you will be as excited for us to bestow and share in that moment as the team is to receive it. So with that, let's get started. Our first team up is Avibrush. Janice, are you ready to share your screen and get started?
Yep, ready to go.
Awesome. With that, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. My name is Janice, and I'm the founder of Avibrush. We are developing a device that enables families to take control of their pregnancy journey. The pregnancy journey can be difficult for many people. Although there are many different factors that make it challenging, they all start at the same place, having sex. And although this may seem simple, actually timing intercourse to fall within the 3 most fertile days in a woman's menstrual cycle is quite challenging, as these 3 days vary person to person, month to month, and have no clear start or end date. And this is exactly where Avibrush comes in. We remove the mess and hassle of traditional ovulation predictor kits that force people to pee on a stick in the middle of the day or wear clunky wearables. Avibrush is simple. We combine ovulation testing with a habit that most people already do every day, brushing their teeth. The user simply brushes their teeth, and we collect a small saliva sample, which we are able to process in the person's home. We inform people of where they are in their menstrual cycle by using their saliva and can predict how far away they are from their fertility window to allow them to easily and comfortably plan their pregnancies. I hope you're able to join as we empower women with the knowledge of their menstrual cycle. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Hey everyone, I can jump in here with first of all, great pitch and great longer presentation too. I thought both were awesome. I've been doing a lot of fertility stuff for my family recently, so I particularly appreciate this one. My question is more about the specific sensing. It's a really novel form factor, I think, and way of doing sensing. But you spoke in the other presentation about it not being, you're basically sensing while you're using toothpaste and other contaminants and stuff. So I'm just curious if you could go into a little bit more detail, the science behind that, and how much tech risk there's here generally.
Yeah, that's a great question. So within what we're looking at is electrical properties within saliva. And here we can clearly see that there's a drop in electrical resistivity during somebody's menstrual cycle. So this is what we're picking up, is these changes in electrical properties are very consistent between person to person. And there have been dozens of studies that have looked at different ferning patterns and how saliva properties change because of changes in estrogen levels. There's different electrolyte levels that also change. So this has been highly validated from a scientific perspective, as well as from other companies looking within the saliva space as well.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm just wondering, how effective is this? You said that you, in the other presentation, which I really thought was informative, that you were looking to start as a go-to-market strategy with folks who were using assisted reproductive technology. And I'm wondering how effective this is in detecting any sort of abnormalities, because if someone is using assisted reproductive technology as opposed to the outer circle of the folks who are just who wouldn't need that, it seems like this would have to be even more effective than a modern fertility or one of your competitors. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So by going and working directly with people who are struggling most within infertility, there are many different factors that can lead to challenges with infertility. Some of those may be hormonal, but many of them actually aren't related to hormonal changes. And so by looking at those changes in estrogen levels, we're still able to track those changes like during the month. And if their cycle is irregular, we're still able to pick those changes up and allow them to either continue with IVF or continue to do other practices that they may be already doing. So people who are going through assistive reproductive technologies, it's still crucial for them to be able to know where they are in their menstrual cycle to even aid and boost their chances of getting pregnant higher, because there's so many different factors that play there. They're still advised to plan these different procedures around when they may be ovulating.
Does this I guess I wonder, so if you are going through IVF or IUI or any of that, you're going to the doctor pretty regularly, like every couple days, and you're getting actually blood drawn and many tests are going on that. So I guess I'm wondering, how does this get communicated? I mean, is this something you would use at home and then your doctor has blood tests and then you sort of communicate this to your doctor? How does that work? Or does the doctor recommend this product? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So how that pathway generally works is people will start to use ovulation predictor kits or Avibrush before they go and see their doctor. So this is typically like the first step that they take when they begin their road to pregnancy. So this is before they've gone and are doing evaluations within different potential infertility issues or something like that. So people who do not have infertility issues and have not seen a doctor will still use ovulation predictor kits before doing so. And by working with people who are having these frequent touch points with physicians, so people who are going through IVF, we're able to start that as our initial customer base, because we're able to work with the Hopkins Fertility Center to access those people that are most motivated and will continue to use this to provide us with rapid feedback to both iteratively change the design of this and build more data supporting the accuracy of this, because they're already doing those supplemental things. So by going and working with those people who are struggling with infertility, we're able to access them more quickly because they have those frequent touch points with clinicians. We can partner with those clinicians to work with those patients and then expand to people who are just generally looking to plan their pregnancies. So that is a general thought process behind it, that yes, they would still be doing blood tests, but there's still added benefit and they're still tracking where they are in their menstrual cycle. And that allows us to easily communicate with them to continue to iterate on our designs before we expand to a larger pregnancy community.
And with that in mind, because we only have 1 or 2 minutes left, Marissa, are there any questions you'd like to ask Janice?
Yes, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your pricing model. And I know this is pretty expensive compared to, other electric toothbrushes. So, have you price tested it yet? And, how are you thinking about that?
Yeah. We've done over 100 customer interviews, during which time we've teased out this willingness to pay. And by comparing Avibrush to similar digital ovulation predictor kits, we are targeting to be around the middle range. So most digital ovulation predictor kits products are between $200 and $300. And so that's the sweet spot that we're aiming for. And with our interviews with willingness to pay, we've priced it at around $250 with the sensor that will be replaced every month for the most accurate results. So that's both from looking at the competitive landscape as well as looking at willingness to pay through customer interviews.
And are there any use cases for the product, after someone does get pregnant? Would they still continue to use it or use it for something else?
That's a good question. That is something that we're actively exploring. So adjacent use cases that we're looking at are people who are looking to use this as a contraceptive. So people who are already using the fertility awareness method, which won't apply to people who are looking to get pregnant. We're also exploring the possibility for this technology to be applied towards monitoring hydration levels and other biomarkers that people may be interested in during their pregnancy. So they can continue to get benefit from Avibrush even after they've attained a pregnancy. So that is something that we're actively looking into.
Great.
And with that in mind, we do have to call time on the 8 minutes for Q&A. I'd like everyone to give it up for Janice, and thank you again to the judges for their thoughtful questions. I do also want to point out we are monitoring the chat and we do see some questions in there. While I know we can't get to all of them and we want to definitely defer to the judges as experienced entrepreneurs, we are copying them and we will pass them on to the entrepreneur, and hopefully we can facilitate some post-event dialogue. So keep them coming. And thank you so much for your enthusiasm. With that said, Janice, thank you so much. We'd like to pass it on to our next team. Everyone give a big hand for class equity.
Hello, let me go ahead and share my screen really fast. Awesome job, Janice. I know all of us can say thank you for going first. You crushed it. All right, can everyone see my screen? Cool, I'm seeing nod. Cool. So I'm Abby, and Katie and I are the co-founders of Class Equity. We are an ed tech platform that teaches financial literacy and promotes positive social behaviors in K-12 classrooms. Financial literacy is the gateway to economic freedom and stability, yet 4 out of 5 millennials cannot answer basic financial questions. As former teachers, Katie and I can tell you that while the need to teach applicable real-world skills is evident, teachers don't have the time and they're already overpacked schedules and they don't have the resources. Class Equity solves this problem by integrating financial literacy into everyday routines in a system that's easy for teachers and engaging for students. Schools spend around $900 million a year on classroom management platforms that lack this content enrichment. So they're hungry for a solution like Class Equity, as we're seeing from our user base. We launched our MVP this past fall and have been completely blown away by organic growth, which really evidences, the demand for what we're building. We're experiencing 60% month-over-month growth and currently support over 3,500 students across 130 classrooms on a weekly basis. And to underscore this again, that is through word of mouth. Katie and I have the networks and experience to grow Class Equity and take it into every classroom. I have a background in business and Katie has a background in web development, but to the core, we're teachers. So we're leveraging that experience to take our product to market. We really built Class Equity because it was a tool we wished we had while we were in the classroom. So we can't wait to take it worldwide. Thank you so much for being here and can't wait to share more.
All right, judges, take it away.
I can go first again. So obviously super important need. And also the product demo in your presentation looked great as well. So kudos there. I guess just from a cynical point of view, this is something that sort of strikes me as something that would be easiest to solve just from like a public policy point of view. So I was wondering, kind of what are the plans to ramp up the sales team, but more importantly, are there really specific, really powerful hooks or incentives that, schools or other organizations would have to make purchasing decisions?
Yeah, definitely great question. So kind of on both of those pieces, I think touching on financial literacy first, states are just now starting to mandate financial literacy in K through 12 classrooms. There's been a big wave this past month as it is Financial Literacy Month. I think the 21st state just mandated some form of curriculum, but there's really a lack for materials and resources for K through 8, which is our target market when we're starting. But I think more broadly, we are a classroom management platform and every single classroom uses classroom management. This past year, there's been a 21% increase in disruptive student behaviors caused by the pandemic. So schools are looking for, a school-wide cohesive behavior management platform. So we're really knocking both of those out with one stone. We're helping promote that positive behavior while also providing that content enrichment behind it.
And maybe just a quick follow-up question. Yeah, it's great that there's positive movement from the policy point of view. Is there some states that just have, really good incentives already in place that are good kind of beachheads for you guys? Like, are you already planning, to go to like New York first versus, some other state?
Yeah, so I'm located out in LA right now, which is the second largest school district. I've been working really closely with the TFA staff to do training for the new core members, second year core members to really get in the schools that way. I also have just made connections with principals in the area. I was at a meetup earlier today with like 50 different principals that all preach PBIS, which is kind of the foundation behind our platform. So really utilizing those networks to get into the LA district. We've also been chatting a bunch with Palm Beach County District. They are the 10th biggest school district in the country. They actually did a big study on a paper version of a token economy system to see the financial literacy effectiveness behind that system. The study was done in 2016 and showed that students using just 10 weeks of a token economy gained as much in financial literacy as they would from a semester-long personal finance course. But that paper, physical system is inherently really hard for teachers to use, which is why we're making it digital and as easy as possible for teachers to integrate.
That's awesome. Thanks.
I'm wondering. Thanks for your presentation. I'm wondering if the schools that you've experienced pretty significant growth, so you have a lot of schools using it, and there is a more recent behavior problem. Are the schools that are using your product seeing better behavior?
Yeah, I can actually go to a slide really fast. So we've been talking a lot with our users this past year. So this stat on the right is showing that teachers are agreeing that class equity is really improving their classroom management. And our NPS score, our net promoter score, based on the question, how likely are you to recommend class equity to a friend, is 74, which for reference, for a tech company, the average is 44, Apple coming in at 49, and Netflix coming in at 68. So we're really seeing that our users are loving class equity. It's supporting them in their classroom, and they want to share it with their network.
Actually, also Marcus had a really good question in the chat, and about the long sales cycle in ed tech or in education. I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind answering that one.
Yeah, definitely. So we're really going a land and expand approach where we're starting in the individual teachers' classrooms, and then they love it so much that they share it with their team and then with their school. So this bottom-up approach is really helping us, not have to go through that top-down long sales cycle. We have a freemium subscription model, so it's free for single-use classrooms. We incentivize teachers to get their co-teachers on board, and then once they love it so much, they want to share it to their whole entire school, at which point we already have 3-4 teachers using it at that one school, and it's really easy to go to the principal and say, hey, your teachers are already using this. If you pay, we will now give you, school level data analytics integrations XYZ. So I think by going this, ground up approach, we're kind of avoiding that long sales cycle.
How does this integrate with other classroom tools that teachers are already using, if at all?
Yeah, definitely. So we are building out integrations with Clever and Google Classroom so they can just integrate it seamlessly with their systems. And we've seen a lot of teachers kind of adjust their paper versions that they're already using and digitize it with class equity. So it's basically just, cutting out some steps for them.
Okay. And you had also mentioned that you were targeting parents to pay for the product. How are you planning to reach them and get them to pay?
Yeah, definitely. So that's more of a long-term vision down the road. Our focus right now is K through 12 schools. But if you're familiar with, Greenlight, Go Ahead and Read, these are apps that parents are using at home to teach budgeting to their kids. So it's a really easy crossover from what we're doing. We've even had a teacher share that she's using this at home to help her kids with their chores and pay them, at home. So definitely long-term vision, not focused on it right now. But I think once we capture, the K through 12 market, that'll be a really easy next step to have kids bring it home.
Kevin, any questions that you want to throw out there?
Yeah, I have a really general question, which is just sort of like, what type of company do you all want to be in the long term? Like, what are your plans that you guys want to be, like 200 employees, raise, tons of money at a higher valuation, or, what's the plan there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think at our core, we just want to build a tool that teachers love, and we want to be a part of that through and through. So I think that over the next 6 months, we're really planning on going heads down, seeing how much growth we can make as we rebuild our MVP to support those more enterprise level. And then, see where we can take it from there. We'd love to be in every school and supporting students with these financial literacy skills and making teachers' lives easier along the way.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, the good thing about what we're building is Katie and I could stay very lean. We have very low overhead costs. So, as of right now, I think we feel really comfortable as a team of 2. Over the summer, we're really going to figure out where those bottlenecks are as we continue to grow and scale within schools. So then we'll see, what support we need, if it's customer service, if it's marketing, kind of figure out where those bottlenecks are. But yeah, we're definitely just focused on building an awesome tool for our teachers, and kind of heads down at the moment thinking about that.
Cool.
With that in mind, we have time for one more question. Annika, can I put you on the spot?
Sure. I guess I'd love to know a little bit about how you're thinking about expanding on financial literacy. I mean, it's sort of one thing to reward kids for good and bad behavior, but it's another, and teach them budgeting. But then there's the finance and investing in the banking system, and I think that, and just taking out a loan, and all of those things don't necessarily mesh really well with behavior, but or maybe they do, and I just don't have the vision. But I'd love to know how you're thinking about that.
Yeah, so we're really hoping to align with the Jumpstart standards, which go 4th all the way through 12th grade. And they actually do, I think, will align really well with class equity. For example, interest, if you have that savings in your class equity bank account, you can really see how that grows. So we're really hoping to scale up those standards and have different options for different grade levels so that teachers can make sure that they're hitting the appropriate standards. We're also bringing Common Core standards. We just introduced decimals into the platform, so allowing teachers to have those extra touch points as well.
Definitely. And adding on to that a bit, having students be able to set budgets and experience the impact of their decisions to, spend now or that delayed gratification later on, and set goals and really build that classroom community. I think that's all inherent into the system we're building. So we're really excited, later on when we have the resources and we can really build out the further curriculum along with these standards.
Excellent. Well, let's all give it up for class equity. Thank you so much, team. Really appreciate it. Great, very thoughtful responses, and thank you again to the judges. With that said, I am pleased to welcome Ednosh. Himanshi, the floor is yours.
Can you see my screen?
We can see it, but it's not yet in presentation mode.
Hi, everyone. I'm Midansh. In 2020, my co-founder and I attended an event at one of India's leading universities to speak to engineering freshmen on career exploration. We conducted a survey to find out how students felt about their current career choices, and 80% of them indicated that either it was a mistake or they were confused and wished they had chosen something else. That is the reality of more than 350 million students in India. Only 5% of them have access to mentorship or career counseling. Every year, millions of students make poor judgment as a result of this. We at Adansh are solving this problem by building a user-friendly SaaS platform where students can connect with mentors from diverse industries from all across the globe in just 2 to 3 simple clicks. In addition, students can also get access to a one-stop platform to know about different career options across various industries in just less than 5 minutes. We launched a few weeks ago and already have over 40 mentors from different industries signed up. We have 3 active paying customers and more than 250 careers live up on our e-lister. With more than 10 years of experience in the education industry, working with more than 15,000 students, my co-founder Ashish leads the tech and operations. I lead the team and have a background in education entrepreneurship. Today, our focus is on ensuring that millions of students out there get access to the right mentorship and guidance. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, with that said, 8 minutes on the clock. Judges, fire away.
Hi, I'd love to hear a little bit more about who your paying customers are and if you're paying mentors as well.
Sure. Our paying customers are mentees, and we are paying mentors 70% of the revenue. So we charge our mentees $3 for every mentorship session, and we'll be paying 70% of it to our mentors for their time.
My question related to that is how do you keep people doing transactions on the marketplace? Like if 2 people have coffee somewhere and there's an exchange of $3 for that session, how do you keep them doing that through you guys? And the reason I ask is I know a lot of marketplaces like Upwork, for instance, have issues with people just meeting on the marketplace and then going into the ether.
Sure. So we do record our so all the sessions takes place on our platform, and it is we invigilate it. So we have to also make sure that nothing is going wrong during the session, and that is the reason we can figure it out that if the conversation is going outside on our platform or not. And that is one way we're trying to do it, and we're still exploring ways to limiting that to happen.
Cool, that makes sense. And then one more kind of related question is could you walk me through what the sessions look like, just in terms of like length and topic? Like what's a typical session look like? Because $3 compared to like the opposite end of the spectrum would be like GLG, which obviously isn't competitive. So like what type of mentors are you screening for, and then what type of conversations I suppose are going down?
Sure.
Okay.
So our mentors. Oh, sure. Go ahead.
It's okay. Yeah.
Ashish, I would like to take this.
Good morning, everyone from India. So basically, what we are trying to achieve by onboarding mentors is that there are a few mistakes that those mentors have already taken. So our plan was to get in touch with those mentors and make sure that the students who come in don't commit the same mistakes. So initially, the onboarding of mentors is done on the basis of how diverse the background is and what they are doing currently. So basically, let's say if a student aspires to be a computer science engineer, then rather than going to a career counselor who has no clue about what a computer science engineer is doing in his life, we wanted the students to connect with people who have been there, done that. So the mentor shortlisting is done on the basis of what they are doing and are they willing to give their time and effort to help a student who is 14 or 15. About the pricing that you're speaking about, so basically, right now the market is only 5% captured. There are still 95% of students who are still looking for mentoring, but the challenge is it is not affordable. So our plan was, rather than targeting 100 students who can pay $10, we wanted to target 500 students who can afford to pay $3 and get good mentorship. So yeah, like this is what we are trying to create. And that is the reason that the pricing is way less than what the competitors are asking right now.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Also, I would like to add.
Oh.
Okay. Please go ahead. Is there any question? Okay. I actually want to add that our mentors, when a mentee signs up for the mentorship sessions, they can go for two ways. One is a general counseling that is free of cost that one of our Idanch team members take. And it is basically to guide them through like what all resources are out there, and it's a general counseling. But when they want a specific industry or career-based counseling, that is done. We guide them through we navigate them to different mentors on our platform. Like for example, a specific industry, if they want to know about healthcare, we'll guide them to different mentors from our healthcare industry. And we have 8-session approach in which each session is kind of structured, but yet unstructured. For example, in first session, it's more about getting to know your mentor. Second session, it's more about your personal and professional goals. Third is more about like, hey, let's see what you have done till date to actually achieve that. So everything is structured in a way.
Can you talk to me a little bit about how you manage for sort of quality and personal and personality differences on the platform? Are the mentors and mentees reviewed, or how do you manage someone not showing up or someone not really giving good advice? What is good, but how do you guys think through that?
Absolutely, that's a good question. So first, in the general session, we make sure that, for example, a student is not so comfortable in like India is very diverse. We don't want, in the general session, we make sure a student is comfortable with the kind of needs he or she establishes. And when we do the pairing, we'll make sure that we take care of those needs. All the sessions, as I mentioned, will be invigilated by Idanch team. And in the end of the session, we'll ask mentee to fill out a feedback form, as well as a feedback form will be asked to fill out by a mentor. So those are the ways which we are actually thinking of incorporating in our platform to make sure the quality control is taking place.
I have a related question to that sentiment as well, which is, as you all probably know, in the beginning, you're kind of acting as a concierge service, like you're just brute forcing this quite a bit. And so how confident are you guys that this can really scale into something that's like a flywheel, where it's enrolling people both sides of the marketplace automatically, and there's not, a ton of like manual Herculean effort going on from your side?
Okay, I'll answer this question. So basically, just to check the concept, we did a POC last year, and we created a session on study abroad, and it was a Ask Me Anything session, and I was the one who was hosting the session. So I have a background in study abroad, and I've worked in study abroad for 11 years. Then I was a student from Boston University. So basically, we promoted it for 2 days, and we were expecting around 30 to 40 attendees. And it turned out that there were 206 students who attended the session. And the session lasted for almost 2.5 hours. So basically, that was the point where we validated that, yeah, there is a need of mentoring in India, especially in tier 2 cities. When you talk about the top cities, they have resources in the counselors. But when you go to tier 2 cities where, people are brilliant, but unfortunately, they don't have access to the right career guidance. So our aim from day one, that is another reason that why we are,
interrupt, sir, but we do have to call time. I apologize. Thank you so much. We appreciate your insight and all of the questions from the judges. Let's all give it up for Ednosh.
Okay.
It's Idanch. Sorry.
I apologize. Sorry.
Yeah.
With that said, we're 3 teams in. We got 6 to go. Everyone shake it out a little bit. Let's get excited. We've got a bunch of really, really great ideas coming up. Next up, I'd like to ask Roboka to take the stage.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear and see me?
We can hear and see you. Adansh is still sharing their screen. If we can-
Yes. And I can't share over. Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, are you seeing my presentation?
You're good to go. Thanks, Rebecca.
Fabulous. Okay. When I was a few months old, I was diagnosed with several genetic disorders, which left me in a world where everything was blurry and nothing could help. Throughout my life, I was offered many assistive technologies. The problem was that they were enormous, expensive, and designed for someone totally different than me. Hi, my name is Rebecca, and I am visually impaired. But what I'm not is blind, and there are an estimated 25 million Americans just like me. Despite this fact, every technology out there today has been designed for the blind, replacing vision entirely instead of allowing those of us with some the dignity of using it. This, combined with my background in biomedical engineering, is why I founded Reboka. Reboka's mission is to empower those with moderate vision impairments with appropriate assistive technology. Our image adjustment app allows users to create custom video filters, so how they see their world is tailored to them, empowering them to complete visual tasks without relying on others. We launched our app in a limited beta in June of last year and have learned so much from our over 70 users. Our team has added or adjusted over 10 different features and are just a few weeks away from being able to launch publicly on the App Store. Today, we're seeking funding to grow our software team and expand our outreach to bring independence and empowerment to people's lives. Please help us create a world where everyone can simply see.
Very nice. Well, I'll turn it over to the judges. 8 minutes on the clock. Go right ahead, team.
Hi, great presentation. Can you talk more about the predictive algorithm that you had mentioned in the longer presentation?
Yes, so let me see if I can move my slides here. So the way our app works currently is very much like what you're seeing here. So this is a set of preset adjustments that my CTO and I kind of created to make it as easy as possible to see this white or yellow highlighter on the white index card. And so the predictive algorithm, the goal of the predictive algorithm is to take in information about an environment as well as a user's preferences in the past and decide on a combination of video filters that's most appropriate for them in that setting. So as you can see kind of down here, if you can see my mouse, we have several different types of settings that you can adjust. And so the predictive algorithm's job is to kind of do all of that tweaking for the user.
Okay.
Hey Rebecca, it's great to see you again. You guys have made some great progress, so kudos on that.
Thanks.
I think elsewhere in this deck you say that there's actually 10 models that are in production, which is awesome. You know, most computer vision companies don't have that many in prod, and it's really hard to get that many in prod. So that's great. My question is really around the value of the top model. Like if you really had to focus on just one model, and which of the ones, if you look at your initial market, which is the one where it's so valuable, people are going to pay like $50 a month for it, or is it really just like you're amassing enough models that you're sort of aggregating, to that value threshold?
So I apologize. I'm not quite sure I understand your question. Are you asking about who the sort of initial target customer is?
Kind of both. I'm asking, if you had to just pick your most valuable model, how much are people, how valuable is that to, the people that is most valuable to? Does that make sense?
I believe so. When you say model, you mean business model?
No, the computer vision model, right? You have 10 like computer vision algorithms in prod, right?
Oh, no. We're working on beginning to do the data collection that needs to happen in order for us to begin that process of building out a computer vision model.
Okay, so right now your filters, you're just like manually tuning filters. Is that what the demo was?
Yes, so the app basically allows users to adjust and add those filters themselves. And so that's how we're going to kind of initially collect data that will in the future inform this predictive algorithm. What's really cool about what we're doing is that you can is this what you're talking about where it says presets?
Right, exactly. I
Yes.
consider each one of those models, whether or not they're tuned by a user or it's actual machine learning, right? Like it's the same, they're all models.
So the goal of the preset option is to allow users to say, okay, I've created this set of image adjustments. I know that this video filter works best for me when I'm, say, in my Spanish class that I have every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just based on, it's a whiteboard and the teacher, for whatever reason, likes to write in green ink. And so they can save that as a preset to call upon later so that they don't have to go through and readjust all those settings to get back to what they liked. So that's kind of one of the most exciting parts about our technology, is that we're allowing users to save those, and they will eventually be those predicted values for the video filters. Does that answer your question?
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Love it.
Can you? I was just going to say, can you go back to the TAM and sort of take us through in a little bit more detail how you're thinking about a go-to-market strategy based on that?
Yes. So this is how we kind of got to some of these numbers. We're really starting with the albinism community in the United States. So albinism is a rare disease. It happens to be the disease that I have personally. And we've found through our beta test that individuals with albinism are really, really excited about this technology. A lot of them often fall in this sort of moderate low vision category. I actually just got off the phone yesterday with the executive director of an organization, I think probably the biggest in the world, that supports individuals with albinism. And she herself said, as I was describing this to her, she said, I spend a lot of time, she actually also has a vision impairment. She's like, I spend a lot of time taking pictures of things with my smartphone and zooming in on them. So what you're talking about is very exciting. And so this is sort of, that's the reason for our initial target market being that $34 million of individuals in the US with albinism, and then expanding from there, continuing to really focus in on the moderate low vision community, because that's really the population that is really not served at all at this point, and expanding into other disease states that often cause moderate low vision. So things like retinitis pigmentosa, macular degeneration, glaucoma, and other diseases like that.
Thanks.
And I just want to call out, while the judges consider their next question, is that we are monitoring the chat, and we will call out certain questions if the judges want from various people who are coming. So feel free to put your questions in the chat. People can always respond after, and we are recording them for follow-up feedback with all the teams. With that said, Marissa, are there any questions that you have for Rebecca?
Sure. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you plan to acquire users. It sounds like these users come from have different vision impairments and maybe are in different communities.
Yes, so there are sort of two main distribution channels that we're working with at the moment. The first is your pretty average direct-to-consumer, like app-based model. And so we're doing a lot of pushing organically on social media and things like that. We've even actually started a Reddit forum, our low vision subreddit forum, and have had, in just a few months, there's over 330 people on there now. And so really using organic social media growth as a way to bring in individuals from a direct to consumer standpoint. But there are also organizations that support the visually impaired. And there's one of these in every US state. It's kind of a government, they have to be there. So there's one in every state. We've identified all of them in every US state. And through these individuals, as well as optometrists who work with individuals with vision impairments, ophthalmologists, we can really kind of get into these organizations, because one of their main goals is to connect individuals with vision impairments with assistive technologies that are appropriate for them. And so by making those organizations aware of our technology, we can pretty much just get to a very large audience with very quickly.
Love it. And we have time for one more question. Who's it going to be?
Similar question to a few questions ago, but where do you see the company going? Like, how big do you guys want to get?
Yes. couple more slides. Yes, so we talk a whole lot about our app, but there's really so much more that there is to be done here. We see a whole lot of opportunities surrounding the preset function that we spoke about a little earlier. In addition to the predictive algorithm, we want to create presets for different types of vision impairments that we found that our users with those impairments like, and we can almost sell them in packs, which would go along with maybe even a broader preset store where individuals could create their own and sell them on the store or share them with friends or geotag them. There's also a whole opportunity for hardware. Something we've always wanted to do is a set of external smartphone lenses that would enhance the camera capabilities for distance and close-up macro viewing, as well as we think there's a way to use those to reduce glare as well, which is a huge problem for people with vision impairments. Other accessories, and ultimately AR VR integration as those goggles start to come out that are more consumer friendly. And we want this to be sort of a community platform as well. Oftentimes individuals with this moderate vision impairment are lumped in with individuals who are blind. And in a lot of times in those forums, the experience of blindness is the only thing that is discussed, leaving individuals like myself, feeling like they don't really fit or they're not really disabled enough to be seeking support or help. And so that's something else that I see us kind of moving into, using the app as an initial way to bring these individuals to us, to Roboca.
And with that said, we will call time. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Really appreciate the insight. Let's all give it up for Rebecca from Roboca. And coming up next, we're about halfway through now. I am pleased to welcome David and the Ties team to the floor.
Hello. I'm David. I'm a co-founder at Ties, where we're building an app that lets you buy shares of real estate properties. The idea is you see a selection of properties, you choose one you like, you tell us how much, and you click to invest. You can sell your shares whenever you want. It's 100% managed for you. We just send you dividends every month. The problem we see is that real estate is a total headache. Deals take forever and there's way too many middlemen. The real estate industry makes millions of identical transactions every year by hand when the technology exists to do them all automatically. So we're using the blockchain to make real estate investing fluid and seamless. We found after talking to hundreds of people interested in real estate that the perfect investment would have the identity of fine art, the stability and returns of real estate, and the liquidity of stocks. I'm David. I study CS here at Hopkins. I'm also the president of blockchain at Hopkins. Dylan, my co-founder Dylan's my best friend. He studies econ at Princeton. Dylan and I founded two companies together, a social media platform with over 5 million interactions and a 6-figure profitable e-commerce agency.
All right, with that said, 8 minutes on the clock. Judges, fire away.
This is maybe a dumb question, but could you explain what the legal entity is that I'm buying into if I put money into this system? You say dividend, so I assume you're talking about a C corp, but what's
yeah.
Go ahead.
So every property has a holding LLC that issues a security via Reg D. That security refers to a set of tokens on the blockchain that you can transact automatically through our app. This is our regulatory roadmap. We're going to start with Reg D, which means we can only have accredited investors, but it's going to be easier for us to file. The next step is using Reg A, which is kind of like a mini IPO. That means that anyone can invest. There's no investor limit. There's no investment limit. But in the future, a lot of regulatory experts say that there's going to be a regulation specifically for tokenized real estate because real estate is such a special case because it's so stable. And it's something that's going to happen pretty much no matter what.
Okay, cool. So blockchain is really used internally for you guys on the back end, right? Like I'm actually holding shares of that LLC. I'm not holding a coin or something, right, that you guys issue?
Both actually. You do have a wallet and the coin is in that wallet, but that coin, there's a operating agreement out there that says that coin is the ownership in this property.
Okay, gotcha.
Excellent.
How do you go about deciding what properties are going to be in the portfolio?
Gotcha. Yeah, so Right now, we're relying on our advisors to help us vet deals. For us, real estate is pretty easy to invest in. We see right now that we want to invest in luxury vacation rentals because the ROI is super high. They're always going to appreciate, and they return 60% more on average than just a single family home. But yeah, in the future, we'll have a built out team to analyze and vet deals. And also I'll let individual investors sort of transfer their properties onto the platform so that they can liquidate them, tokenize them, and take advantage of all the benefits of ties.
Given that there's real estate, there's a huge demand and a low amount of supply, and that's not really going to change in the near future, particularly in some of the places that you mentioned, Tahoe, and some of the other places that you mentioned in your longer video. I'm wondering how you plan to compete or with the likes of Picasso or some of the other folks that are entering or are already in this luxury real estate market, but from other they may be coming from other angles, but you're all searching and trying to buy the same kinds of properties.
Right. I mean, there's obviously trillions of dollars of real estate out there, but this is really exactly the point. Right now, institutional investors are buying up single family residential homes at record rates. Last year, institutional investment in single family homes increased by 70%, and it was bankrolled mostly by 3 banks. And this has huge implications for millennials and Gen Z who just can't invest in real estate. And the long-term implications of that are in generational wealth. Real estate's the #1 wealth creator worldwide, and this trend is locking an entire generation out of this cycle. Tokenization allows us to allow these people to compete with Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan Chase and secure a financial future for themselves.
What's the average amount you expect someone to invest, and what would their average return be?
So if you go by the average Robinhood account, it's $1,300. Your average return would be about 12% in dividends. So you would get, close to $200 in dividends from that. And then obviously the appreciation from the real estate conservative estimate would be like 6% a year.
Okay. And how do you plan to acquire users?
Really, people have shown an eagerness to invest in real estate. One of our early competitors who just got started launched and just put out a Reddit feed, and they sold out their first property in 3 seconds, basically. But the truth is, people are eager to invest, and we see that there's a lot of capital right now that's locked out of real estate. That's in crypto, that's in stocks, that's in just in savings accounts, because people don't want that volatility. And we think that when real estate investing becomes this easy, there's going to be a lot of capital migrating into tokenized real estate, whether that's on ties or somewhere else.
Well, excellent. Annika, Kevin, do you have any other questions that you would like to ask at this point?
Yeah, to really, you know the company Picasso, right?
Yeah.
So is it fair to say, you are going after, smaller sort of, obviously setting the tech stuff aside, because obviously the tech model is very different, but is this catering more towards like younger, not as like high dollar value investment, but similar property type to companies like Picasso?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is there's so much real estate out there that Picasso really has no effect on us. We are an investing platform, not a timeshare, which is what Picasso is. Picasso lets you, buy 1/8 of a $10 million home. That obviously doesn't appeal to our target market, which is retail investors.
Well, excellent. I think that's just about time. David, thank you so much. Really appreciate the thoughtful questions and the insight from the judges. Let's give it up for David from Ties.
Thank you.
And coming up next, it's my pleasure to welcome Team Nova Cup to the stage. I think we have Lexi and we have Danielle on. Excellent. We see your screen, so take it away.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle from Nova Cup, and I am one of the 2.8 billion lucky individuals who get to experience Mother Nature's monthly gift. That's right. I get to talk about periods. So many of you already know about the carnage involved, the cramps, the irritability, the blood, but most people are less aware of the financial and environmental burdens women are dealt when picking period products. There's a growing shift to adopt more affordable and reusable period products, of which the most popular is the menstrual cup. But currently available cups just suck. Like, I'm supposed to put this where, how? No. They're incredibly difficult to use, which causes 1 in 10 women who try menstrual cups to discontinue use altogether. So we developed Nova Cup, a specially designed menstrual cup that is mess-free and as easy to use as a tampon. Nova Cup makes life with a period easier for you, your wallet, your health, and the planet. We have a great team that understands the hard science and industry landscape needed to get our product to market. We're currently seeking $30,000 to get to a beta testing stage, and we are eager to partner with ambitious innovators who share our mission to provide pioneering period products for the next generation of women. And with that, we are ready to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks so much for your presentation. I'm wondering how you think about the competitive landscape. There are a lot of innovations. I mean, this is an area that hasn't seen innovation for hundreds of years, and in the past maybe 5, we've just seen it explode. How are you thinking about that, and how are you factoring that into your go-to-market strategy?
See, let me get to our competitive matrix. So yeah, in our longer pitch, we provide a competitive matrix that we know we're not going to be able to compete with what we call like the big girls on the block, which are your pads and tampons. Our competitive analysis, we really focus on the insertables. So we still are trying to target those women that are considering insertable period products, which is tampons, discs, and cups. And then here you can see focusing on cups, which we again further elaborate on in our longer pitch that, like you mentioned, the innovation, especially in cups, has been recent, but it's been very redundant. It hasn't been very creative. A lot of them are just redesigns of the same model, not addressing the user errors and usability issues that we are addressing. So here you can see, we're going to be the first cup to address each element of use, insertion, removal, and containment, and have a similar cost with much more added value.
How much does it cost to produce, 1 cup? And then, like how much profit are you getting off of each one?
Lexi, do you have those numbers? Or
it's a few dollars.
Okay.
It's more expensive than producing a tampon, which is made of cotton, because this is silicone. So yeah, it's a few dollars. And we've looked into some design houses that have different rates for that. So yeah, it also depends on the manufacturer a bit. Also, I guess, well, no, never mind.
And how do you plan to market it to customers?
Yeah, so again, let me see. Our market strategy is going to be largely over social media, because that's a great way to have an incredibly intimate conversation about periods, period products with potential customers. So we plan to use strategic social media channels to target different generations of women. So your TikToks are going to go to your college students, Facebook, maybe to those Facebook mom groups. And we also want to do college brand ambassadors, again, trying to capture those younger generations that are more eager to try something new and also be a potential lifelong customer.
So first off, thanks for doing a piece of sustainable tech. That's really important, I know, to me and a lot of other people on the call. So kudos there. My question is, why are you only raising 30K if you're going to do a 510K? 510K is usually fairly expensive. Are you like stage gating something out of the 510K?
Yeah, that's just to get to our beta testing phase, which is like I guess like shortest finish line for us right now. We'll definitely need more money later on. But we are also a micro entity, so paying the FDA a little less.
Cool, gotcha. Yeah, there's one thing, you might have competitors that would disqualify you, but you might want to look at the breakthrough devices that the FDA sometimes designates. Those it'll make it a little bit cheaper just because you'll get through faster. But so what's the next milestone that you would do after beta testing, and how much do you think you'll be raising for that one?
Yeah. So after beta testing, we anticipate making a few tweaks to the design, but we'll have already, done all of the paperwork and regulatory strategy, and it'll really just be trying to build up our manufacturing. We're going to start selling in the US, but hope to sell internationally. There's quite a bit of global interest in menstrual cups as well.
Gotcha. And one very small piece of unsolicited advice. I did my GMP and ISO 1345 really late in the game. It's always easier to start early. So if you haven't gotten your document management system for good manufacturing or 1345, easier to start now than 3 years from now.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for the advice.
I know you guys are just in beta testing now, and this is sort of a follow-up to Marissa's question about sales. It sounds like you have a really great plan for how you want to sell, but then you just mentioned that you'd want to sell internationally, and I understand that there's that's a huge market. I guess I'm just wondering how your company has to develop in order for you to have the capacity to sell all over the United States and abroad. Like, how are you thinking about that? And I get it, you haven't even applied for FDA approval, but I just would like you to take me through how you're thinking about it.
Right. Long-term plan, like that's a long-term plan. And Lexi and I are PhD candidates. So, hopefully we'll be able to start selling in the US before we graduate. Who knows? We're PhD students. We never know how long that'll be. And based on that traction, then we can start focusing, overseas. Sorry, was there another element to your question?
Well, I think maybe I could kind of address it, is that so we do have a plan to sell directly to consumers using our website from the beginning. And hopefully, so that's an immediate revenue source, which then we're kind of hoping to reinvest in an actual sales team, because we want to get into Walgreens and Walmart just like those other girls, just like Diva Cup. And so we're going to have people basically managing those accounts. And I think that building out a robust sales team is going to be part of that. And it's definitely part of our long-term strategy.
Thanks. That's helpful.
And Kevin, you get the last question.
Yeah, sorry, hopefully a really quick answer, but what are your personal plans for the company? Like, when you finish your PhDs, are you both gonna work on it, go lean for a little bit, or try to like raise money, or kind of do it as a background while going to industry or academia, I suppose?
Lexi, do you want to answer first?
Yeah, I was going to say, so my plan is after my PhD, I don't know about academia. And in fact, I really, really love this company and this team. So my goal is to finish my PhD on a high note, get a Siebel scholarship that can support me for a year so that I can dedicate myself full time to this company for sure.
Yeah, and same, it's a little difficult to plan on a PhD track, but yeah, I love this company, have a great team, and I really want to see it pushed out into the world and ready to commit to that whenever I graduate.
Awesome, thanks.
With that said, I think Kevin has asked the hardest question of any of the judges thus far. It's the question you dread when you come home to your parents on holiday. When are you gonna graduate? What are you gonna do? So Kevin, thank you for really throwing fire there. With that said, let's thank Team Nova Cup. Really appreciate your energy and insight there, team. Before we go to Leaders of Africa, I know we've been on for a while, and these are super exciting companies, incredibly innovative products, and brilliant, brilliant teams. But let's all do a 30-second shakeout. Do your favorite dance move, stand up, get some air, get the blood flowing. If need be, I will demonstrate, although I have been told that I cannot and should not dance. But I think it'll be really helpful just to get everyone nice and excited for the last 3 teams, because man, we got some great ones coming up. Take 30 seconds, get pumped. Just realized this meeting was recorded and probably shouldn't have started dancing, but now I'm going with it. Now I'm going with it. Getting excited. All right, let's come back. So with that said, we've got 3 teams left, and kicking us off for the last mile, we have Leaders of Africa. Eva, Peter, Violet, the floor is yours.
We're Leaders of Africa, a school for digital skills, now an African e-learning platform scaling to meet the growing demand for research, data science, and tech mastery. As we scale up from boutique to broad impact, we've seen a 500% increase in qualified applications from 32 African countries to join our platform and programs. When we began back in 2020, we realized that despite the rise of Coursera and Skillshare, there was a gap between basic certification on these platforms and innovative mastery. We also realized, like many of you during the pandemic, that a personal touch is important to learning. Our solution is simple, but impactful, and is built on years of research and digital skill instruction by our founding team of international educationalists. It begins with measuring baseline mastery on our Creator Track assessment and determining personalized goals for learning. As students, we're so used to registering for classes and sitting alongside peers with a mix of interests and skill levels. On our e-learning platform, we use Creator Track and professional interest to match learners into cohort communities where they receive tailored live instruction and mentorship. The mentor then signs off on their skills milestones while they complete a portfolio project to demonstrate mastery. We will use our increasing revenue this quarter to drive platform development and evangelization efforts into African institutions about incorporating our platform into the teaching and learning they are already doing. Partner with us to democratize digital skills education and accelerate knowledge sharing to close the interest mastery gap. Thank you. We'll take your questions.
Hi, thank you so much for that presentation, Violet. I'm just wondering, you mentioned that you that the mentors sign off on their on the work on the upskilling training. How do you vet the mentors, and how do you sort of make sure that what they're signing off on is, you know, that is a demonstration of real skill and ability?
Thank you. That's a great question. So we do our recruitment from universities and companies that are globally competitive, and so the mentors are part of the teaching team basically. And so they know the staff, and they're part of the team that creates these Creator Track assessments for all our incoming learners. So they're definitely well equipped to do this job. Thank you.
And are they staff? Are they compensated through Leaders of Africa then, or are they partners, strategic partners? How would that work? I assume maybe someone would be at, you know, at University of Nairobi or at Google, and then would they do this as sort of a part-time gig, or yeah?
Thank you. So currently our mentors are paid by Leaders of Africa. So when you look at following our customer research, our customer discovery research, so when you look at the African market, on average, a professor earns about $500 US. When you look at the US market, it's between $5,000 to $12,000 US. But following our steady flow of revenue and the influx in customers that are coming into the company, we're expecting a lot of revenue. And so we'll be able to pay competitively. And so currently our mentors are paid by Leaders of Africa. And as we scale up, we'll be able to get more mentors that we can pay. So right now, because everything is online, it doesn't really matter where our mentors are based geographically, we'll still be able to pay them and they'll be able to help our learners on the platform. Thank you.
So just to add to what Violet said, I want to talk about Isaac. So Isaac is someone who works with the Ghana Internal Revenue Service, and Isaac is already a professional, and Isaac is interested in improving his digital skills because he's working with a lot of data and he wants to find a way to communicate this data with the Ghanaian public. So when he came to be part of our program, that is the design and data visualization program, Isaac was able to develop a platform called Transparency through the mentorship that we gave him. And through that, he's able to talk to the Ghanaian economy about resource distribution in Ghana, how the government collects revenue and how these revenues are distributed to the various districts in Ghana. So these are, there's a gap, and people, especially people in the professional cycle, are looking to upscale. So this is what we are doing, and this is why we also recruit mentors who already have some of this background to help in upscaling the professionals of Africa.
So is the end goal of the product for people to get higher paying jobs or like switch careers or both?
Yes, and more. So following our customer discovery, we've discovered that most the African university system is mostly about memorization and regurgitation, but it's really about transferable skills that are in demand by employers, particularly the ones that are globally competitive. So our promise to our customers is that when they come in, we equip them with skills that they can immediately translate into financial opportunities and upward career advancement. And of course, that can come with a career switch, but then that makes for even a better or higher pay. And then also we do have a career match with companies so that our customers are able to be matched to better employers who are able to offer them a better and higher pay. So that is our promise to our customers, so yes.
I have a similar question to the question we asked Adansh, which was basically this in the early days, as you know, this is going to be pretty concierge-y and there's going to be a lot of brute force going on your team. But how confident are you that you're going to be able to automate that and kind of sustain higher growth in the future? Or is that not the direction you guys are going and you know, it won't be a big deal either way?
Oh.
Yeah, I'll answer that question because we've been, as you say, doing a lot of concierge service. As we mentioned, Violet mentioned, we moved from boutique to scaling up. And we're in the process of scaling up right now. And a lot of our processes are already automated. So when we think about receiving applications and thinking about those that are coming into the programs, we have a way of understanding sort of their professional backgrounds in that match process that Violet mentioned. In addition to the creator track that is able to measure skills assessment, that is also an automated process. So we're able to sort of understand their data science skills in particular, because that's where it plays out in particular, and then being able to group them in these different categories. And one of the nice things just to emphasize here is that we do appeal to a broad swath of what we call emerging professionals. So some of those folks are actually professors themselves that are looking to get enhanced data science skills. Some of them are just like Isaac that Eva mentioned as well, that are looking to upskill in key positions of government or key positions of civil society in places like this.
Awesome, that makes sense. And I have one more really quick loaded question, which is, I was in a portfolio with Andela and my investor obviously knows them really well. So would you guys be complimentary to them and would an intro be helpful if so?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So there are a lot of digital skills companies coming up. Andela's one. There are a number of other competitors that are out there. I think one of the nice things about where we position ourselves is that we really grew out of the university ourselves. As Violet mentioned, we're international educationalists. So we think about these skills as the skills, digital skills that you learn in a lot of the way Andela or Utivo or others do. But we also add the substance to that. And a lot of people come because they're interested in learning skills, but they're interested also in making an impact in their country in very substantive ways. So in addition to saying, I can just code, because anybody can teach somebody to code over a long period of time, we say, we want you to be a conscious coder. We want you to be able to code, but we also want you to be able to think about how that influences policy, how that interacts with policy as well. And that really grows out of our team's background that is both in sort of the technologist, educationalist background, but also a background in public policy across many of the United Nations SDGs.
Gotcha. Yeah, and for what it's worth, I was thinking you guys could basically be like a primer network for Andela. Andela could like cherry pick, whatever top performers they want and just give, you all a feedback.
That's a wonderful idea.
All right, well, with that said, I think we're going to call time here. Everyone, let's give it up for Leaders of Africa. Thank you so much. We've got 2 teams left, and it is my pleasure to welcome Casey from Hubley Surgical to the stage. Casey, at your convenience.
Thank you so much. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. All right, here we go. So hello, everyone. I'm Casey Grage, co-founder and CEO of Hubley Surgical, and I'm going to be talking about brain drilling. So every year in the United States, tens of thousands of burr holes are drilled into patients' heads using this hand crank drill. It's completely devoid of any safety features, and it contributes to the 20% severe complication rate of this otherwise simple procedure, drilling a hole through the skull. We neurosurgeons and medical device engineers who founded Hubley believe in patient safety, physician ease of use, and speed. And so that is why we invented the Hubley electric drilling system, complete with battery power, LED pressure indicator, and unique auto stop to save patients' lives and to save hospitals money. So we can actually take a look. So the pressure indicator on the drill turns green when you apply enough pressure, and then it turns red and stops automatically immediately upon puncturing the skull to prevent accidental plunge into the brain. There isn't a great option for auto stop even in the operating room. So through replacing the hand crank drill and then entering the operating room market for medical drilling, we're looking at a $2 billion market globally. We already have established clinical partnerships with Northwestern, UCLA, Mount Sinai, and of course Hopkins. And we are on track to submit our Class 2 510(k) proposal next month, with estimated FDA clearance and launch in Q4 of this year. And I will now take questions.
Just really quick before I forget though, did you already do your pre-sub at the FDA?
We're not doing a pre-sub. We're just going straight to 510(k) submission.
Okay, so one thing that they would have brought up in pre-sub is the breakthrough technology designation, which will save you a ton of money, and you guys would actually also be a really, really good candidate. So
we actually do not qualify for that because our indication is an emergency procedure and not an elective procedure. But we did look into that.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So my actual question, which is maybe kind of hard to answer, but so the 20% failure was defined as hemorrhage, stroke, and then infection, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what percent of that, or maybe all 20%, is actually due to accidental plunge versus just some other factors?
Short answer is no. So essentially, let me see if I have a slide. Essentially, we know that plunge occurs every single time on average about 1 centimeter. So on average, surgeons drill 1 centimeter into the brain every single time they do this procedure. That greatly increases. We have percentages around like that increases the likelihood of infection by 70%, and that increases the likelihood of hemorrhage by this much percent. I don't know exactly, and there's not data out there to say like this hemorrhage would have been caused without plunge. So I don't know, but we know that the plunge happens every time. We also know that surgeons misplace catheters 40% of the time. So there's an average of 2 extra holes being poked into the brain every time a ventriculostomy procedure is performed.
Gotcha. So there's definitely, at the very least, a clear narrative for something like infection, which might not be immediately obvious for someone who's non-medical, like a hospital administrator or procurement people that you're going to.
Yeah, exactly. So what we're going to do is run post-market clinical trials in order to get very hardcore clinical data around when the control group, the hand crank drill is used, this is how long patients stay in the ICU. This is the amount of complications that occur. And when our drill is used, it's less.
Cool, makes sense.
This is a sort of a similar question as I had for Nova Cup. It's very clear that this is a superior product and that you're going to save hospitals money, but that doesn't translate automatically into sales for hospitals. And I actually know this because I had a marketplace for low-cost medical devices and it didn't go quite as well as I wanted, which is why I'm now an investor. How are you thinking about how your company needs to evolve in order to sell this product outside of your current strategic partners?
Sure. So one thing is that we have interviewed a ton of potential customers, well over 100 neurosurgeons, and the vast majority of them are really excited about our product and would go to bat for it at their value analysis committee. In terms of our go-to-market strategy, our plan is to target urban academic centers. That's because they have really high volume of these cases and because 90% of the procedures are performed by junior trainees, first and second year residents who could probably benefit from safety features like we offer. So we're starting off by just selling to our first 3 to 5 accounts in-house to make sure we know how to sell this thing. And then we're going to have a small in-house sales force, 3 to 5 reps with independent regional distributors to get into key geographies in the US. After about a year of revenue, we then plan to partner with a strategic, such as Medtronic or Stryker. And we've actually already been in bi-monthly business development conversations with those 2 companies. And so we know that they are interested in distributing us, though likely with an exclusive contract. So we would want to make sure we know how to get revenue on our own for about a year first before we enter into a contract that could lead to an acquisition.
So so if say it's Johns Hopkins, how many do you sell to Johns Hopkins? Is it 1? Is it 10? Is it?
They do about 200 procedures a year.
So what does that mean?
I apologize. So yes. So the hand crank drill is single-use disposable. This is also single-use disposable. So that would be about 200.
Okay. 200 per year.
For
Got
the
it.
operating
Okay.
room space, we'll have a reusable drill that would be a one-time sale of the drill with a monthly subscription for single-use drill bits. And that's a different market. That's our second market, which we have not designed a product for yet.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up.
In terms of your pricing, why did you decide to price match versus, a different price?
At the end of the day, this is the sticker price of the hand crank drill, but a lot of times it's bundled with other products. So we expect that our ASP will be higher than the current product. We just did a lot of user research, particularly with hospital finance personnel, and we basically found that the hand crank drill is going for as low as like $300 to $400. A few $100s difference, a lot of hospital systems can stomach, but selling at like a $2,000 price point and being like 4 or 5 times as expensive was not something that was, I don't know, that they wanted.
I just want to give a 2-minute heads up in case anyone has any other questions.
This is oftentimes a difficult question to answer for stuff in healthcare because healthcare is just so weird and hard. But do you have a good sense of why the big established companies or other startups haven't done this before?
Yes. So short answer, other companies have tried to do auto stop. So actually, let's pull up my. So they've tried doing auto stop in the operating room. Right now, the only option, and this is our second market, the only option for auto stop is the Medtronic perforator, which I gave half an X because it doesn't work all the time. So that's why they haven't, I believe, that's why they haven't brought it to the bedside, because having a technology that doesn't work about 1 or 2 times in 200, you only want to use in a very controlled environment like the operating room. They use pressure sensing tech to do this auto stop, which can be unreliable with variation in bone thickness and density. Whereas we use a current monitoring technology, which took us a couple years to come up with, and we have 10 different methods of auto stop all covered under our IP. But what we found is that this current monitoring, regardless of bone density variation or thickness, is very, very reliable in noticing the difference between bone and anything other than bone, tissue, a gap, dura. And so that's why we have better technology. Short answer.
Yeah, I will say personally, it's super reliable in the saw stop technology, for what that's worth.
For the table saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one works really well. It cannot be used in the operating room just because of the vast variation of like patients and demographics that makes bone have very, very different densities.
Well, with that said, we do have to call it here. Casey, thank you so much for bringing that up. I am curious what you were using to drill in at the beginning of your elevator pitch. But
this is a model skull.
It's a model skull.
You can see I've drilled a few holes in it already.
A lot of holes in that skull. All right. Well, thank you. Alas, poor Casey, we have to move on to our last team, but thank you so much. With that said, let's move on to Alex. Last but certainly not least, take us through on paths.
All right. I'm assuming you guys can see my screen. So my name is Alex, and I am the founder of Paths, which is a new social network where I can hear about different people's career paths and get answers to career questions through short audio snippets. And so you can think about it kind of like a audio career version of Quora. I can come onto Paths and ask someone I know a question, or just ask a general question I'm curious about. And other users can respond with audio snippets up to 10 minutes that anyone can stream, like, comment on, and follow up on. And so we're actually live and up and running. So I invite everyone in the audience to join and scan this QR code to check it out. But really, we're building Paths because the process of getting mentorship and figuring out your career is really overwhelming and inefficient for a lot of students. Usually it involves going on LinkedIn for a lot of hours and sending cold DMs to alumni to hear about their own paths. And then if you're diligent, you're converting some of those calls, you're taking notes, you're sending a follow-up, and the process really prohibits a lot of students from actually doing it. And it's also inefficient for the mentors, though, because they're answering a lot of the same questions over and over. And so with Paths, we really allow students to get access to mentorship anywhere and anytime they want, but also for mentors to scale the impact of their wisdom and experiences in a really quick and easy way. And so one of the really cool things we've done recently is organize a lot of these snippets into playlists that can be shared out like mini podcasts. And we've seen a ton of engagement and potential for viral growth through that recently. So I'm excited to be coming out of beta, opening up to you guys, and hopefully hearing some of your paths. And I thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hi, why did you decide to focus on audio versus video or like other mediums?
Yeah, so I like to say you get the most bang for your buck with audio because you get the nuance of what a person sounds like, their kind of vocal inflections. People say it's much more personal, but it's also a lot lower barrier to entry for the creator. So you don't have to actually have your camera on. It's kind of the same reason why a lot of people like to turn their camera off during a Zoom call. A lot of people see video as kind of high barrier. TikTok also has cornered the market on that, but short form audio is kind of white space, and also has a lot of the same benefits of personalization and authenticity.
And how are you vetting the clips for if they're high quality?
Yeah, so that's primarily determined by our users, kind of like Quora, you know, upvotes, downvotes, likes, social metrics that determine how people are reacting to that. And then on the kind of moderation side, there are features to be able to report and block people who are, you know, not using paths appropriately.
Cool. Annika, Kevin, any thoughts? Annika, I know you've run in a lot of different spaces in the tech world before. Mind if I call on you for this?
Yeah, I guess I have. I mean, I thought it was really compelling. I didn't have time I scanned, but I didn't have time to answer your question. I think what I find really compelling about this is, on the one hand, you know, I do get probably about 10 LinkedIn messages a day as president of the Alumni Association, and I want to help everyone, and I just don't have time. So I set, you know, a couple of hours a week to deal with that. And there is a lot of overlap. But the other part of mentoring is also their interaction with me, telling me what they want to do, not just hearing about my path, and then the connecting them to resources that I know, or the suggestions. And I guess I'm wondering how you think about that. I mean, this path is not here to solve everything, but tell me sort of where that sits in the landscape of the full relationship of mentoring.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't think Paths is any substitute for the actual, you know, one-on-one connection you get from a mentoring call, but I definitely see it as a really nice icebreaker to start a relationship in the future. You know, it's kind of a low pressure way to start a conversation with someone. So once you send to someone a question and get a response, definitely in the future there'll be ways to move that from a public forum to private forum and kind of continue to nurture the relationship on a one-to-one basis.
Hey, Alex, I have one comment and two questions. The comment, first of all, you got some flack, which I found hilarious, on the Hopkins Founders Forum, that you had people on your website. You had like Oprah and Elon Musk on your website. You took those down, right? I went on your website.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So kudos to being receptive to advice. That's awesome. Obviously a really good trait to have. So yeah, that deserves a round of applause.
Right. That was a little bit ambitious. Hopefully Oprah and Elon Musk join Paths sometime soon. But we have some cool people on there right now.
Yeah, for sure. So two other really quick questions. One is I've been, I guess I should really just check out the platform, but on the spectrum of like super hyper personalized advice, where it's really like one-on-one, mentorship and guidance, and the other end of the spectrum is really generic advice, like as you kind of mentioned in your longer pitch, this answering the same set of questions over and over again. Where do you feel like Paths is now? And then do you have a sweet spot where you kind of, you think you'll be most valuable if you get to some point elsewhere?
Yeah, I think the most valuable thing I've heard from our users so far is one question that many people answer that has some specificity, but also is broad enough for many people to answer. So for example, like, how did you break into venture capital is a kind of a big question on a lot of students' minds. And on Paths, you have the ability to create a playlist with that as kind of the question, and invite 20 different people to record an answer. And then it creates almost like a mini podcast where I can listen and get 20 perspectives on a pretty common question. And so I think that's where we've seen a lot of really good traction so far.
Okay, cool. That's super great. And then similar question for you. What are you doing post-graduation? Are you still going to San Francisco?
Yeah. So my plan is to move to San Francisco, work on Paths full time out of a startup studio there, and I'm pumped to do it.
Did you, and just also out of curiosity, did you settle on an incubator or accelerator or anything?
Yeah. So right now I'm part of this community. It's called Founders Inc. And it's a lot of kind of young tech, either solo founders or small teams. And so I'm going to be going to their studio and building it around a lot of really people who are much smarter than me. So it's a great place to be.
Nice. Congrats.
Marissa, any thoughts?
I think I asked most of my questions, but yeah, I mean, what is your long-term goal for the company? And, are you fundraising?
Yeah. So long-term goal is for this to be, kind of on the scale of a Quora or a LinkedIn. It now totally depends on whether we get the eyeballs that a typical social network or social media gets, and that's also kind of where we're experimenting with revenue model. But in the short term, it's all about kind of just getting paths out there, getting high quality content on the platform, building up that content library. And once we have, the right metrics, definitely looking to raise probably sometime later this summer.
And in terms of revenue model, how are you thinking about that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it'll come down to, do we have enough eyeballs coming back to this every day, where a freemium model like Spotify has works, where, there's ads in between every, 3 or 4 of these clips. And then if I want to turn off the ads, I can pay for a premium membership. We have some other levers we can pull, like showing you who viewed your profile, like LinkedIn, or, giving you unlimited questions to ask for premium memberships. But if not, then, it'll come down to how valuable the library of content we've actually created is, and whether or not we can gate that with some other types of memberships.
Okay, got it.
Love it. And Annika, would you like the honor of the last question of the night?
Well, actually, it sort of already got asked, because it was sort of about future plans. No, can I?
That's okay. That's okay. Let someone give it up for our judges, and of course, Alex.
I'll just quickly chime in
Sorry,
on
Alex.
bottom of, if you go to the website at Paths, there are some questions that I would love for you guys to answer. So if you want to drop some knowledge, definitely feel free to. But thank you all for your time.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex. Congratulations, Alex. And congratulations to all the Fuel teams that have come out and done so well here tonight. That was a fantastic showing. Yes, let's give them a round of applause, everyone. And thank you all so much for sticking with us. We have 135 participants on this call. 135. And while I know this has been a very intimate conversation, we really appreciate you sticking with us throughout that time. So at this point, excuse me, I'm going to turn it over to Erica, and she's going to walk us through how the Audience Choice Award is going to happen while the judges go off and deliberate with Josh in another Zoom room. So stand by for that.
Yeah,
Thanks,
and Jack,
Jack.
just to jump in for a moment, yeah, judges, please do check your chat, and I have linked you to our deliberation room. So see you there.
All right. So it is now my distinct honor to involve you, the audience, while the judges are off discussing, to vote on the Audience Choice Award. So I'm going to ask Jack to bring up the slide, and when he's able, to post the link in the chat as well. But if you want to go to this website here, which is just www.sli.do, that's sli.do, and type in this code 188411. Again, that's 188411. You can cast your votes on the top 3 teams in the next 10 minutes, about 10 minutes, and help us provide the next winning team with $5,000. So you can also visit this link here, which we'll include in the chat as well, to learn more about all the teams, to learn more about their lengthier pitches, to get in contact with the teams. Perhaps if you had a question, it'll be answered in one of the team's longer pitches. So you can learn more there as well. while the judges are deliberating.
And we'll give everyone just another minute or two on this slide to get online. I think we're going to see some really interesting results coming in shortly. And then Erica and I have a couple of other fun things to tell you all about after you're casting your votes or while you're casting your votes.
Yeah, I know this is going to be a tough decision for everyone out there.
Yeah, we had a really strong showing tonight, didn't we, Erica?
Yeah, I don't envy you guys. You have a hard task ahead of you to pick the top 3 teams in just a few minutes. It would probably take me all day to list. But yeah, well, we're all very excited and very proud of all of you. And I know it was hard to contain myself in my little square here while everyone was presenting and not be like bouncing off the walls and being distracted, because I'm a very reactionary person. I've been told even by professors during their lectures, I'll be there making faces and nodding along. So yeah, this is it's going to be very exciting. I love the Audience Choice Award because it's really engaging everyone.
No, absolutely. And I think that's a really fair point. I really loved the integration of such expertise and the level of levity and conversationalism and humor that was brought to the pitches tonight. To your point about being reactionary, it's so great when there's something to react to and where the teams really make it not just as subject matter experts or as business leaders, but as things that they're passionate about that get conveyed so clearly and so easily. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I know sometimes I'll sit in long lectures about science, and I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's hard to keep my attention and to not fall asleep. But never when I come to a Fast Forward You event do I feel that way. Everything is always so fascinating. And that's part of why I love this job here. It's so engaging, and I'm never bored by all of the wisdom and all the stuff there is to learn from everyone who's a part of this family.
Really is a family, isn't it?
It kind of has to be, right?
Yeah. You spend 10 to 12 weeks with people really taking your passion, your business to the next level. But I will say it is one of the things I'm going to miss most about the Hopkins experience. And I hope to be able to come back maybe as a VC one day and be able to.
There you go.
I'm just going to check the chat here really quick because I see things popping in. Great. Excellent. So with that said, team, you have a couple more minutes. We are going to leave this open for about, say, 5 more minutes before we go and close out the award. So if you haven't voted, vote. Vote now. Vote thoughtfully, but vote now. In the meantime, Erica and I are going to tell you about some other great stuff we have coming up. If you enjoyed our Fuel Demo Day, you also might like the Spark Showcase. What's the Spark Showcase, you ask? And why am I doing this weird voice? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Spark is our partner accelerator here at Fast Forward You. It's for earlier stage ventures that really take a lot of different and interesting ideas up from the whole, hey, we had this really great idea last night while we were hanging out with friends, or hey, I've had this passion project, but need to learn some element about the business or connect it to the technical development. This is the launching pad for so many of our greatest ideas, and many of the teams in Fuel tonight began in Spark. We'll be having our Spark Showcase on April 29th from 12 to 1:30 p.m. And I gotta say, while the prizes are a little bit smaller than Fuel, the companies are no less innovative and no less passionate. So please feel free to follow us on the social media accounts, check out that QR code to get registered. We really, really hope to see you there. The strategic advisors who work there also work with us on the Fuel teams. And I know for a fact, they have really helped cultivate some fantastic ideas over the last 10 weeks or so. with that said, Erica, you want to tell us a little bit more about what else we have coming up at FFU?
Sure do. So in the near future are listed on the screen a few dates in April and May, where the teams that you have seen here tonight will be doing more pitches at various other competitions, including Johns Hopkins competitions. So tune in and support them and discover additional talent not showcased here tonight from across campus as ventures tackle all kinds of exciting ideas and opportunities. And you can sign up to attend any of these events at the link listed in the slide that we will also put in the chat, which is just tinyurl.com/JHU pitches.
Yeah, I will say there are a bunch of teams that have either FFU is open to everyone on Hopkins campus. You do not need to be associated with Spark and Fuel. And though we have many of our teams in Spark and Fuel competing in these competitions, many people come and use the space or seek out people like Erica or Bautran or Javier or Lanre or Tosh or any of the other amazing strategic advisors we have. And we assist them with that. It's our pleasure. So if you ever have an idea about anything, don't feel like you have to be in the program first and foremost. FFU as a space, but to Erica's point, as a family and community, is here for you as part of your Hopkins journey, as both students and beyond. So if you're interested in these things, if you have ideas, nothing is too silly. And we honestly see that the ideas that people see as long shots end up being really compelling, creative, and effective ideas for businesses that change the world. So please feel free to come to these events and see that and hopefully inspire yourself to come on out. The other thing we want to ask, of course, is we have lots of social media, and it's very easy to stay in the know when you follow us on social media. So we're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and we have a podcast. Erica, would you like to tell us about that podcast? Because I know you know about that podcast better than anyone.
Yes, I am one of the co-hosts of our podcast. We are trying to really start to get it up and running and gaining some traction. Carrie used to also be one of our co-hosts, has recently left, but we have a new co-host who's going to be joining me, Natasha, pretty soon. And she is already tackling getting all kinds of guests in the docket to come on, and has really taken to this project in getting some fantastic wisdom from all different kinds of people. And there's already some wisdom on there, so you can check it out. Just put it in one ear in the background while you're, doing chores or whatever during the day, and hopefully through osmosis learn some good business wisdom from people we've had on so far and people we have to come. But it's a lot of fun for us. I mean, we interview all kinds of different entrepreneurs from all kinds of different spaces. Yeah, so check it out. I would be very happy if you did. You could see my face.
And we do like to keep you happy. And it's really quite good. I mean, this is a very well-produced podcast. Erica says it's up and running. I think that's an understatement. This is something that's been going on for a long time, Erica. You've put a lot of hours into this. So, and you get great interviews, great ideas. So thank you for all your work on that. You make it a fantastic resource for everyone at the Hopkins community. With that said, I see a couple of messages coming in. They may be telling me that Josh is about to let the judges back in. So what I'm going to say is, everyone, you have 60 seconds to cast your votes. If you have not cast your votes, now is the time. I am going to go back to this page. Go to sli.do and type in the code 1888411. Cast your votes for the Audience Choice Award. Results will be coming to a screen, hopefully seen by you very shortly. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing. All right, everyone, you have 30 seconds to cast your votes. See a few stragglers coming in. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As they say, that's all, folks. And we will announce those results very shortly. Give us a second to tally it up. Madison asks, do we have a live drum roll? Ah, you're stealing our special surprise. It's called My Hands on This Table. The highly technical sound effect. I don't know, Erica, how do you do the sound effects for the podcast?
I'd like to take credit for that, but that is definitely the editing prowess of not me, of the technical team behind the podcast.
The technical prowess of not me. Fantastic. Okay, I'm just going to check the chat here and see where we are. Johnny, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Johnny is a very close coworker of mine, and I think you two have very similar energies. So she I think said she would put that in the chat.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to quickly ping Josh and just see where we are with the judges. We do know that, so this is not our first competition or our first demo day for Erica or I, and I know many of the other SAs, strategic advisors on the call have also seen this. When judges deliberate, it's usually a really good thing. I always am afraid when we have snap decisions. So I think we're going to get some very interesting results and feedback in the next few minutes. Will the recording be put online? That's a good question. I think so. And I will follow up with you on that. I will follow up with you on that. Let me ping the relevant team. After all, those technical skills belong to the team that is not me. Yes, Maddie, thank you so much for calling that out. We have a very exciting initiative at Fast Forward U coming this summer, the Summer Incubator. We're working on the name, but it is a fantastic opportunity for many, many teams to come in and continue to refine their business, both from a professional and, say, business development level, as well as a technical level. Erica, are there any details you'd like to share about the Summer Incubator?
I'll say that I'm sad that I won't be there because I'm graduating. I'd like to share that because otherwise I would thoroughly enjoy to late witness to that again.
Yeah, I totally wasn't crying in a dark room before this call, my last demo day. Definitely not.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. And Demario has pointed out in happier news that this will be posted to the Fast Forward U YouTube channel for the entire world to see, which makes me significantly regret the dance moves I was displaying earlier during the break. There will be 20 teams in the Summer Incubator, and there is a significant stipend. I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, this will be the first year where we are doing it, but there are stipends, it's housing, it's focused on medtech. It is a fantastic opportunity that we are offering some fairly advanced teams here. And we're excited to see what comes out of it because sure, yes, this is Hopkins and we love to support all ventures, including medicine, But the reality is that this is a very unique opportunity that most areas and schools don't offer. So we're excited for that incubator. Josh, you're back.
I am, and I have some exciting news. The judges have spoken. They are going to come back. We are signing back in here. And so we have some announcements to make, and I hope everyone has been having fun with Jack and Erica. I've seen lots of happy comments in the chat. So thank you again. Can we give a round of digital applause to Jack and Erica, our two graduating strategic interns, for all your incredible work this evening and throughout the school year. So we are just really, really grateful for you. This evening wouldn't be possible without you. Again, phenomenal work. All right, so I got one judge who is back, and we are working on getting two more back in here. We had to do a little Zoom switcheroo. So that's Kevin, and I know that Annika and Marissa are logging back in here. So we'll give them just a moment to show up, hopefully. Dun, 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 dun. I feel like we need a final countdown theme music playing here. Jack, how is your, I mean, I know you clearly have some amazing dancing moves, but how are we doing?
Well, he was just told those dance moves are going on YouTube, so.
Oh, that's so true. So true.
I request that a GIF be made and it be made into a meme.
I would thoroughly enjoy that, you know, with all these tech people on the call, all these different people, feel free to screenshot, feel free to make it happen. All right, I got our second judge back. So Marissa has been promoted from an attendee to a panelist, and I'm going to go ahead and spotlight her. And then that leaves me with just Annika, who is logging
right
back
here.
in. Oh, you are here. Where are you? Aha, you got back into the main spot already. So this is great. Okay. And then in typical klutzy fashion, I made you and not everybody. So here we go. All right, judges. So you've had some good time debating and talking, and I think you're going to start us out with some feedback for all the teams. So without further ado, thank you again for being here. Take us away.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Josh. So I'm just going to start by saying a few nice things about a few companies, and then we're going to go around here and talk about everyone before the awards are awarded. So first off, I wanted to say a couple quick things about class equity. I found the problem that you all are solving to be extraordinarily compelling. I have a really weird, mildly painful memory of trying to file my tax extension at HIMSS in the airport right after I graduated college and was no longer a dependent. So what you're doing is super important, and I really, wish you guys the best. And I'm sure you're going to be super successful as you go forward and figure out, the type of company you're building. Next, I want to say a couple things about Hubly. I talk to a lot of medtech companies, a lot of digital health companies, and a lot of physical device companies, and it's pretty rare that I'm super confident one of them is going to be successful, to like the acquisition phase, that rather than just, whatever type of company they're building. You guys are definitely that. I was super impressed with, just how much, pardon my French, but just how much of your shit you have together. So I'm sure you're going to go off and do, great things. Fingers crossed, all the FDA stuff goes really well and you can get to market early, but congrats on the really great progress thus far. And then lastly, from me, is paths. Alex, you and I have spoken to each other a whole bunch. I've always been really impressed, not just in your ability to build great UIs that are beautiful and look like they're really going to engage people, but also, as I said today, your ability to actually take advice. That's a pretty rare trait that is super valuable, not just in entrepreneurship, but in a variety of different careers. So I really wish you the best with your trip to San Francisco and getting the company off the ground. And that's all I got. So Annika, I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah. So I have also some feedback to give. The folks at Adansh, I really I found what you're trying to do compelling, and really the market opportunity there, like to reach every single high schooler in India would be pretty monumental and changing and a game changer. I think so that's what I love. I think what I would encourage you to think about is how you can link sort of some of the outcomes that will come from this mentoring to create a positive flywheel, so that people will want to participate because they think that it'll provide them with better advice, so that mentors will want to come onto the platform. I think also for I have somewhat similar advice for leaders of Africa. I ran a startup that worked in Nairobi, and I think again there is a disconnect between training and actual demonstrated skills and ability, and so there's a real need for this, and there's a huge market opportunity. But I would also encourage you, like Kevin said, to think about partnerships and to do so in a way where more folks will be coming onto the platform, more mentors and more mentees. I think that once you get that going, it'll the sky's the limit. And then I have feedback for the folks at Nova Cup. It's, as I said, a really interesting solution to and like an age-old problem that affects half the population for most of our lives, and but it's also had seen a lot of market entry, and so I think I would really encourage you. I know you're both PhD students and you're trying to figure out what your future is, but this is a really good idea. And it's going to require, beyond engineering and FDA approval, just a huge expansion of your sales and marketing strategy. So I just keep thinking about that. But great job to all of you.
All right.
Is that it? Did I have more? Oh, okay, good.
Those are all yours. So I had feedback for Rebecca. I really loved the problem that you're trying to solve. It seems like there's a ton of different use cases for so many different populations with vision impairment, and not a lot of competition in the space. And I think you're approaching it in a really unique way. Meeting users where they're at with using smartphones. I think one thing you could work on is just thinking about how to explain the technology a bit more to people who don't understand it, especially the computer vision piece. And then I had feedback for ties. I think it seems like there's huge demand for the product. It's a really unique take on the real estate market. I would encourage you to think about your presentation and, really being more enthusiastic during the presentations, that it comes across that you really, wanted to start this company and, have the team around it to do so. And then I also had feedback for Avibrush. I really loved the product idea. I think it's a unique take on the market, and, once you have, more clinical trials and can, have more data, I think, you could see a real uptake in users. I would encourage you to think about your go-to-market, since, having done IVF myself and had a lot of friends, in that market, I don't know if that's really the right target market for your initial user base, but I do think there's high potential for other user bases and some of your longer term use cases that you mentioned.
Amazing. Thank you, judges. And let's give them again a round of digital applause and all that good stuff. We are so grateful for your expertise and time this evening. And with that in mind, I wanted to say my own quick word of encouragement for everybody here. And that is simply that, as I have said throughout this semester, our support for you does not end tonight. And whether you win additional money this evening or not, just know that the connections, the publicity, there are so many benefits from doing this kind of event, and we're really proud of you. And we're glad to keep supporting you and helping you on the way forward. To the audience, I have shared with all of you the webpage where their full 6-minute pitches are, and you can also reach out to the teams and network with them from that website. And of course, look them up on social, look them up on LinkedIn, all that kind of good stuff. Follow along. We want to see each and every one of them succeed. All right. Now, with that said, I think we're about ready to make some announcements. So, Jack, are you going to help me with a drum roll? Are we doing a drum roll here?
I think we're doing
We have fingers. We have things. All right. To announce our first award, I'm happy to invite Erica back to the proverbial front of the digital room. Erica?
Thanks, Josh. So we're going to start with our cohort prize. So if we can get a drum roll.
I'm drumming with one hand, so it's a little weak.
And the winner is Class Equity. Congratulations, everyone. I know we don't have digital emoticons, but we can all clap in our empty rooms.
Thank y'all. Really appreciate this opportunity. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks so much. It means a lot. We've learned so much from all of you.
Congratulations. Really proud. And for our next award, Jack, you're up, sir.
All right, sounds good. Well, you voted, you heard us all, and thank you so much for sticking around for the entirety of the Fuel Demo Day. It is our pleasure, drum roll please, to say that Nova Cup has won the Audience Choice Award. Congratulations, team.
Good job, folks.
Thank you, and thank you to the audience.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys.
Excellent job, everybody. Well, and that leaves it to me to have the final big announcement here. It is a very real pleasure to announce this one. The judges were very clear, and I know that this is someone for whom this prize is going to go far and make a big difference. So, Jack, go ahead. Give me your drum roll, please. I think you're muted. Here we go. Rebecca, you're our grand prize winner. Congratulations. We're so proud.
Thank you so much. Wow, this is so exciting. Thank you.
Wonderful. Excellent job. And again, huge thanks to each and every person for being here this evening. We're so incredibly grateful. Congrats to each and every team. We know you're going to do us proud. You're going to continue to succeed. You're going to live up to the example set by our three amazing judges. So thank you. With that, everyone, it is my pleasure to call today to an end. Thank you for sticking with us. Be in touch and go forth, do great things, build awesome companies. Take care. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Great job.
Great job.
Thank you again to our judges.
Thank you, team. Great job.
Incredible work. All right, I'm going to go ahead and exit our Zoom. Have a good night, everybody. We'll talk more soon.